Hello, everyone. So it's coming to my attention that MLA formatting is something that people have a really hard time with. It's not just you if you are a middle or high school student. This is something that is difficult to keep track of rules wise all throughout high school, college, and beyond. Even I forget some of the rules sometimes, especially because they change a lot. So I figured what I would do is just make a quick video, hopefully informative enough to help you get on your feet with MLA formatting to start, especially because in all of your English classes, this is the expected format that you're going to use. And it can also be in other classes as well. There are a lot of different formats that are used all throughout, high school and college. MLA and APA are the most common, but you might also see Chicago style and Harvard, depending on what kind of subject you go to study. Yeah, that's it. So for MLA, that is the preferred formatting for usually the arts and humanities, including English, which is what I teach. So I'm here to hopefully walk you through some of this by giving you kind of an example format of the paper, and then I'll show you how I set my papers up, and then I'll show you some quick slides on how to do a works cited in MLA, which is usually the harder part. And then I'll also show you another resource that's been really helpful for me. So this is what an example of an MLA style, structure of a paper would look like. Obviously, there's no true written content here. Excuse me. Um, so this just has information on what's expected, what would be in each paragraph if you were to do so. That's not so important right now. I'm just hoping to show you the basics. So you can see here that everything is in Times New Roman 12-point font, even the title. That's important. Everything is the same size and everything is double spaced. So when you do put your name in a paper, not only will you write it here, you'll also put your last name and page number here. And I will show you how to do that in a second. When you write a paper, whether it's a short response or an essay or a paper, research paper, you will still put all of these here. Sometimes you'll be asked to do a title page, which is something that's pretty easy to do, and you can look up how to do that. So you'd put your name, and then, of course, it's a supervisor name, so you would put Miss VDH for me. If it's like a college professor, usually you'll say professor, first name, last name. Course name, so for me, you'd put English 8, English 10, and then the date that it's due. I usually put the date that I last edited it, but you can also do due date. And the title here. Oh, excuse me. Once you have those things, you're basically set up, right? This needs to be aligned left. This needs to be centered. And then from there, you align it left again and tab in. So you'll see here, this information just kind of gives you some details actually about MLA formatting, which I think is really helpful. And you won't do a lot of these in English, but it's just some helpful information. So I'm going to show you, sorry, I always yawn when I talk for more than 2 minutes straight. So I'm going to show you how I set this up so that once it's set up, you don't have to worry about changing it later. So I'll start up my document. The first thing I'm going to do is change all the font to Times New Roman 12. Done. And actually, what I want to do before I even do that, so that's set up. But when I go to add a heading or a page number, it's going to go back to the default Arial 11. But what I want to do is insert page number. And then for MLA, you want to have it on the farthest right-hand side. And then I need to make sure that it is Times New Roman. And then I will put, oops, that didn't do it. Times New Roman. And then I'm going to put my surname here. And then I still want this to be 12. So page number's there. What that will do is it's not just a header, but it also changes, it'll change with each page. So once I get down to the next page, it'll be Vanden Heuvel 2. I'll just show you. So that's why it's important to do insert page number and not just add it as a header. So I've got that set. You definitely want to make sure all your margins are correct. I believe usually it's 1 inch from the top, sides, and bottom. Sometimes they'll ask you to have it at 0.5 or 0.25. It just depends on the teacher or the professor, but I think 1 inch is the standard. So now that I'm here and I'm at Times New Roman, the first thing I'm going to do is put my name. And then if we're not sure, we will go back here and look. So name, supervisor name, right? Another thing I need to do is make sure that this is double space. So I click double space and now there's that extra space there. So supervisor name, I'm going to say Mr. Lentz is my teacher. So depending on the professor or teacher, they might say first name, last name. In high school, they'll probably just ask you to do that. And then the class, and then the date that it's due. Let's say this paper is due in 10 days. How we write it in MLA is not how we normally write it. So you're going to put the date, the number date first. So, if it's due in 10 days, it'll be due 30 November 2020. That's how you write it. So you'll put the date, day, number first, then the month, then the year. All right. So now that I'm down, I can check back here. I think what I want to do is, nope, that's good. So sometimes you'll add an extra space, but I think that's too much. So now it was aligned left. I'm going to move it to the center and align it in the middle. And now I'm going to put the name of my paper. So that's where usually for something like English, you'll come up with like a little bit more of a creative title. And so, or it'll just be pretty generic. So what I might do is, let's say I'm doing a research paper on Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. And let's say I'm going to analyze, let's see, the importance of Dumbledore's army or something like that. So it's hard to come up with a creative title, but I'm gonna just make one up and don't make fun of me. So I'm gonna say, ooh, it's really hard. So don't make fun of me. Here we go. We will raise an analysis of Dumbledore's army in, and then remember that whenever you use a book title, it's italicized, Harry Potter, and the Goblet. Oops, I meant Order of the Phoenix. So there's my title. It's kind of long, so it's jumped down another page. So maybe I decide to rephrase it. So maybe I just have it as an analysis of Dumbledore's army, and then I need to make sure that it's centered. Because I think this is a little too close, I might just space it down 1. All right, and now I need to make sure that it's aligned left again and that it still is double spaced. And now I can start writing my paper. And that is where formatting can get a little tough. So we can look back here. Usually if the title's a little shorter, it's easier to see. But this one's longer. So I still need to make sure that it goes right underneath. So I'm not going to add any extra spaces here, but I do still have to tab in. I always tab in. So now I'm going to start writing my paper. Obviously, I'm not going to just come up with a research paper on the spot. So I'm just going to write a love poem, a love sentence about Tom Felton's love for me. Tom Felton is my favorite actor in the entire world. I love him so much, and he loves dogs and blah, blah, blah. From there, you won't need to tab in again until you start your next paragraph. So then when I click enter again, I'm not going to double enter. I'm just going to click 1, and then I'm going to tab in again and go, Bailey VDH is obsessed with Tom, and it's not healthy. Whatever. And I'll just keep going on. That's the basic way you format an MLA paper. So once you get this part started and you finally are able to align left your paragraph, your intro paragraph, everything else should just kind of take over from there and it'll take care of itself, which is what I like about it. Love it. So that's how you just start formatting the paper.